Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. We had fantastic weather here. I hope you did as well. So last week's 5-minute moneymaker, I got this fantastic exercise from a HubSpot article about building charisma. Simple, easy, and surprisingly effective doing just that, making yourself more charismatic. Every time you buy something, play this game with the person at the register, or your wait person at the restaurant, or somebody walking through the parking lot. I'm sorry, this wouldn't work for somebody walking through the parking lot, but I was thinking about eye contact. This is something a little bit different. The game is try to create a genuine connection with that person in the time it takes to bring up your purchase or take your order. If you do this, your ability to build rapport with a complete stranger will go up immensely. Why? Because all the research shows that humans primarily use emotions to make their decisions, so you want to be able to get people to like you instantly. So use all the opportunities you have. And I am not a people person. I do not like to be in public. I like to be a hermit, but I do this when I'm in public. When I'm with people, I do try to work on creating relationships very, very quickly. It's something that we all can get better at, and we should be. The only way you get better at something is constantly practice it. So 5Q tape breakdown was, how did he do on the DocuBank conversation? This is a great one to listen to, guys. This is utilizing a tool we have in a very effective way. So how do we handle sales objections? I get, when I listen to tapes and do tape reviews, I've got, all you guys that have finished the 200-point checklist, and again, a lot of people have and have done just a fantastic job of learning that. But when we're in the heat of the battle, when somebody throws you a little objection, what do you think most people do when somebody throws them an objection in the middle of a meeting? And I classify objection as anything you don't want to hear. So it's generally, most of the time, people doing 21-point checklists, I don't hear somebody actually objecting to anything. What I'll hear is somebody not agreeing with you. So, but anytime somebody says something I don't like, I consider that an objection. So yeah, Charles says counterpunch, get a little defensive. Mark says revert to the tell, sell, preach, teach. That's very much, Dave. Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, so those are the kind of things that happen. And it's the reason being, when I say what should you have done, guess how many guys do you think? When I say what should you have done, guess how many guys when they hear it on the tape, hear it and know exactly what they should have done, that they should have got them? How many people when they hear it on the tape? Yeah, all of them. Yeah, all of them. All of them, exactly. So why does that occur? Why do we panic? Why do we panic at the meeting? Well, it's because it surprises you. So we don't want to be surprised by something that somebody says. So I always go into a meeting expecting it. When I go into a meeting, now with you guys on the phone, because the guys will throw this back in my face. With you guys on the phone, do I expect you to disagree with me? I figured you came on to learn what I have to teach you, and you want to make a lot of money, so I don't expect you to disagree with me. So guess what? When somebody does disagree with me on the phone, I will snip at them. I'll bark at them, because I think if you're on, you're here to get help. So, and see, that's kind of how your attitude is with the clients. You're thinking, well, they're here in my office. They're here in my office, so I would think they want my help. So when they disagree with you, guess what our natural inclination is? To get a little defensive, to counterpunch. So because I have so many coaching calls, I'm going to go, I'm not going to change with you guys. When I expect, if you want to be on the calls, I'm going to help you. I'm going to tell you what's going to make you a lot of money. I'm going to tell you what's worked for the last 18 years. And if you disagree with me, I'm going to bark. I'm just going to tell you that's the case. But when I'm with a client, and I'm looking to make $30,000 in one meeting, I go in expecting them to disagree with me. I go in, do I really expect somebody who's been working with their guy? Guys, everybody answer this question. They've been working with their guy for 5 years. He's made them a ton of money. They've got $500,000. Do I expect them in one meeting to move all their money to me with no resistance whatsoever? Do I expect them to do that? Everybody answer that. Yeah, everybody's giving me no's. Exactly right. So then that means I should go in surprised if they push back somewhere here or there, or should I expect it? I expect it. I expect it. Okay. So here's the thing: if I'm on the football field and I'm carrying the ball and somebody tackles me, what do I do after he tackles me? What do I do after he tackles me? I get up, go back to the huddle, and get ready for the next play. Do I get defensive? Do I get angry at him for tackling me? Or did I expect to get tackled on the football field? Yeah, I expected to get tackled on the football field. Now, if I'm on the street and somebody tackles me, guess what? Guess what I'm going to do? Will I get defensive? Will I get angry? Will I go after them? I'm going to fight back, exactly. Because do I expect to get tackled on the street? No. No. So here's the thing. If there's a $5 bill glued to the sidewalk in the city, guess how many people are going to just walk right over it? Because they're not looking for it. So again, I mean, you could have hundreds of people walk over that because they're not looking for it. They're on a mission. They've got an agenda. They got a place to go. They're not looking for that $5 bill. Now, if I told everybody at the corner, I stopped everybody before they walked down the street, and I said, listen, there's $5 on the street. Now how many people are going to see it? How many people will see it then? Everyone will. Yeah, everyone will. So if you're expecting it, you can see it. If you're expecting it, you're going to be able to handle it. But if you don't go in expecting, see, and so you should go into a meeting, have that little 30-second talk with yourself before the meeting saying, you know what, they're going to resist. I'm going to go and looking. I'm going to go and looking for that place they're going to push back. I'm going to go and looking for that place that they're going to resist me. I'm going to go looking for it. So when they finally do it, are you surprised or do you go, aha, there it is. I knew they were going to do that. See, you're actually happy when you find it. And here's the great thing about the way we handle objections. The way everybody else handles objections, guess what happens to the relationship between the advisor and the client? The way everybody else, not us, but the way all the other advisors out there handle objections where they say, yeah, the feel felt found them, and then they say, that's the way all my clients used to feel, and then they ask more, why do you feel that way? Yeah, it deteriorates. It gets worse. Here's the great thing about the way we handle objections. We turn a negative into a positive, because when somebody objects to us, and instead of fighting back, we agree with them, we tell them how smart we are, we tell them how right that is, guess what happens to our relationship? See, when somebody that's right, Kevin. So when somebody disagrees with us, or somebody pushes back on us, and we instead got them, it breaks their paradigm. It breaks their paradigm of me versus them. Instead, it's like, oh, this guy's actually on my side. It's not me versus him. He's on my side, or she's on my side, and it starts to build even deeper rapport. So go in looking for them to push back, so you can got them. And instead of it being a bad thing, it ends up being a great thing, and your meeting gets even better going forward. Does that make sense? Does anybody not get that? Go in looking for it, and you won't be surprised. And then use that to improve the rest of the meeting. So what if somebody, so just one example of that, why should I work with you? Somebody says, well, why should I work with you? This happens sometimes at an eye-to-eye. Why should I work with you? Well, the first thing you should say is, I'm not sure you should. What does that do? Why do we say, I'm not sure you should? What does that do to the paradigm of what they expect? They expect you to jump, embrace it, exactly, Charles. See, they expect me to jump in there and tell them why I should work with them. Instead, I'm saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. And then you're going to got them and tell them, all about why that's a great question. Then you're going to ask, can everybody be everything to everybody? Until I learn more about you and what you're looking for, should I assume that I'm the best person for you? So any statements so far, guys? Yeah, gots. I'm not sure you should, and then gotsing. Those are all statements. After we gots them, though, how many statements do we have? None. Then they need to explain to us why they need to work with us, not us explaining to them. So until I learn more about you and what you're looking for, should I assume I'm the best person to work for you? Why shouldn't I? Because remember, guys, that's a closed-ended question, right? What do we follow all closed-ended questions with? What do we follow all closed-ended questions with? An open-ended one, right, Nick? And the easiest open-ended one is what? Yeah, and why? Or why not? Whatever. And why? Would it be okay if I ask you a few questions to see if you and I would be a good fit? Now, depending on what's your biggest concerns or challenge. So based on what their biggest concern or challenge is, if it's income, for example, what I could follow up is, what's your plan to replace the income you lose when your spouse passes and your Social Security check goes away? Why aren't you using the program that replaces your spouse's Social Security and income when they pass? So what am I doing there? I'm creating a need for them to want to work with me. Not because I'm telling them, but because they're thinking I'm missing out on something everybody else has. Then they're coming to me versus me going to them. So far, have I tried to promote myself at all? Has anything in here been about me and how good I am and why they should work with me? We're all saying no, that's right. See, there's a big difference about them chasing me versus me chasing them. In the end, it's the same, but the chemistry is the same or different. If I'm telling them on why they need to work with me versus them telling me why they need to work with me, is that the same or way different? Yeah, it's much different. Exactly right. It's much different. Does that make sense? Does that give you everybody, when you go into a meeting, the 30 seconds before the meeting, prep yourself. First of all, decide what skill am I going to work on, whether it's asking open-ended questions or if it's falling on the sword or if it's not over-talking them. And so pick just one skill to work on. So in that 30-minute huddle you have with yourself, before you see the client, you close your eyes, take a deep breath and say, I'm going to work on this one skill. And then also say, I'm going to look for them to disagree with me. I'm going to look for them to push back a little. So if you tell yourself those things, guess what? Your meetings are going to go wonderfully well. Okay. So I ran across this article that said if Ray Dalio, who is a hedge fund manager, if Ray Dalio's I think it was Broadridge or Broad Street or something like that. So if Ray Dalio's 1937 comparison continues tracking, the market is in big trouble. This was just published. So the correlation between the S&P 500 over the past 4 years and the 4 years leading up to 1937 is roughly 94%. I'm going to show you that graph. And Missy, somebody's I'm hearing some background noise there, so I don't know if that is. But as I have suggested in the past, price analogs are not very valuable on their own, but when the fundamentals are also parallel closely, they become far more interesting. So what he's saying is, yeah, so what? I mean, things one graph laying on top of another graph, that's very interesting. That in itself is not predictive, but when that graph is laid on top and they're very similar and the underlying fundamentals are close, then you have what, guys? Everybody answer that one. Mark says Bridgewater. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Kevin. Yep. You got a problem. So here's where we look at. So they laid on the last 4 years on top of the 4 years leading up to 1937. Look at this. Down, up, down, up. Look at these, how closely it parallels. Is that close parallel or is that a not very close parallel? Close or not close? I mean, look at this. Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down. Look at it. I mean, this is almost like what? Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down. Scarily close. But like you said, hey, dudes, you go out looking for patterns, guess what? If you go out looking for patterns, guess what you're going to find? Patterns. So you find them. So this in and of itself is not predictive. But then he takes it one step further and says, but if the fundamentals are also closely parallel, then you've got what? A scary situation. So he goes through and he talks about the 6 parallels. The debt limits reached at the bubble top, causing the economy's market to peak 29 in 2007. Interest rates hit zero amid depression. So he starts laying out all of the reasons why it's very, very similar fundamentally. So it's a great article if you can get your hands on it. But now I want to go, and again, guys, am I saying that the market's going to crash? Do you get why do I constantly, every 2 or 3 weeks, say, listen, this is not going to go on forever? Why do I do that? Am I predicting the market's going to collapse next week? No. Our whole fundamental process for our clients is what? Be prepared for the worst. Be prepared for the worst, folks. Be prepared for the worst. No, what's our mantra with our clients? Plan for both, right, Mike? Plan for both. Plan for both. You're gonna have to help me, Till. I forget I know the T-bag test, but I forgot. Not too hot, not too cold. Is that what the T-bag test is, Till? Yeah. So don't change lifestyle. Be prepared for both. Yeah. So don't just plan for the good. Don't just plan for the bad. Plan for both. So am I saying take all your money out of the market? Is that what I'm saying by showing you these things? No, I'm saying have a balanced portfolio. So if the market falls, a big chunk of their money, 50% of their money, is guaranteed. If the market goes up, 50% of their money or 100% of their money is going to go up. So that's the great thing about our portfolio, is a 50-50. If the market goes up, what percentage of their market goes up? What percentage of their portfolio goes up? Oh, Till's saying the teabag test. That's right. Till says the teabag test is, I love that analogy. Put your portfolio into hot water and see how it acts. I love that. So if the market goes up, all of your money goes up. The money that you have in equities goes up, and the money you have in fixed index annuities goes up. If the market goes down, at least half your money is what? Safe. Make sense? So I love this about Warren Buffett, combing his past letters. And guys, if you have not read Berkshire's last letters, you should go there and look at it sometime. It's www.berkshirehathaway.com /letters.html. They go back for all the years. It's amazing. But these are some gems that he has. Performance comes, performance goes, but fees never stop. If you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even own it for 10 minutes. So what's that say about turnover, guys? What's his feeling on turnover? Bad, bad, bad. The know-nothing investor who diversifies and keeps their costs minimal is virtually certain to get satisfactory results. It's better to know nothing and be in a low-fee portfolio and let it just ride. Remember when Fidelity went and looked at all of its investors, all of its millions of investors. Do you remember this? They looked at all of their millions of investors, and they wanted to find out who were their top investors, whose portfolios had performed the best, because then they were going to go look at what those folks did, actually interview those folks, and then see if they could put together a methodology. What did they find out? They found there's like 25 people who totally blew everybody else away. When they went and interviewed them, what did the vast majority, Mark's got it, what did the vast majority people find? Kevin's got it too. Kevin and Mark bring up, yeah. These people had forgotten they even had the accounts. They'd forgotten they even had the accounts. And because they forgot them, guess what they did? Guess how much they managed them? They didn't. They let them go. But because they were in low-cost portfolio, they made a ton of money. We've long felt that the only value of a stock forecaster is to make fortune tellers look good. What does that tell you about his belief about somebody predicting the future of the market, predicting what stock to be in, what stock not to be in? What does he believe in that? Now, then you would say, well, wait, Mike. Isn't he predicting what stock to be in? Does Warren Buffett predict what stock to be in? You guys are awesome. So Charles, Dave, Kevin said no. That's all I got. I'm wondering if the rest of you he looks for value. Well, actually, yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely, Kevin. He's looking for value. But when he's looking at, is he buying a stock or is he buying a company? Long-term earnings, that's right. He's buying the company. And how long does he plan on owning that company? 10 years minimum. 10 years minimum. Does that sound like he's buying stocks? No, it sounds like he's going to buy a company, and when the company goes up, he's going to sell that company. So long-term. It is a terrible mistake for investors to measure investment risk by their portfolio's ratio of bonds to stocks. Often, high-grade bonds in a portfolio increase the risk. Hello, why did I put that in red? Because what do most money managers do for safety, guys? What do most money managers do for safety? They put it into bonds. What does Warren Buffett say? It's a terrible mistake for investors to measure investment risk by their portfolio's ratio of bonds to stocks. Often, high-grade bonds increase a portfolio's risk. Make sense? So why do I hammer this all the time? Because I don't think stocks are bad. I don't think bonds. Well, I do think bonds. I think bonds are horrible. As compared to an FIA, I will say, be on the record of saying bonds are horrible. Because FIAs have much more safety and they have much more growth potential. But I'm not against stocks. I own stocks. Half my portfolio is stocks. So next thing, the big thing we want to cover today is high net worth individuals. Are these the kind of people we want to work with? I want to work with high net worth people, but I want to work with these kind of people. No. I want to work with these kind of people. The millionaire next door. These guys think totally different from this guy. Make sense? So What percentage of U.S. households today have more than $500,000? Very good, Till. Awesome. Very good, Kevin. 10%. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. Now, is this more heavily weighted to people who are 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or more weighted to 60 and up? Much more weighted to 60 and up. So, guys, there's plenty of money out there for us to go after. And the only way you get in front of people, you make your luck, right? The more contacts you're making, the more things you do, the more likely to get in front of these people. So, I don't even know how you say this. Capgemini, I guess. Consulting technology outsourcing. They did a study on the high net worth individuals, and the first thing they looked at was their concerns and priorities. So, first of all, how many of these high net worth individuals, people with $500,000 or more, had advisors? How many had advisors? 64%. 64%. And here's what they found. The more the money they had, do you think the more money they had, the more likely they had advisors, or the more money they had, the less likely they had advisors? Mark's got it right. Kevin, Kevin, you keep giving me the totally opposite answers. So your second one was right, Kevin. Yep, they're much more likely. The more money they have, the more likely they are to have an advisor. Because here's the thing. Did these people with a lot of money, most of these people, did they make it from the market, or did they make it from their business and their earnings? They made it from their business and earnings. And the more money they had there, the less they want responsibility for that money. They want somebody to help them with it. So what do you think the number one concern by more, and so I didn't know how to write this. 43% of people aren't concerned about this. Way more than 43% of people are concerned of people with 500,000 or more are concerned with this. It's just that this number one concern beats out all of the other concerns by 43%. It's 43% higher than any of the other concerns. Does that make sense, or am I speaking Greek there? So, Jeff, can you jump in there and help explain that better?
Well, so the number one concern is far and away the number one concern. The second top concern is way below this even.
Okay. So what do you think it was? Thanks, Jeff. What do you think it was, guys? What do you think people with 500,000 or more, their number one concern was? No, not running out of money is not, guys, people with a lot of money, they're not worried about running out of money. Do you think I'm worried about running out of money, guys? Nick, you've got it. That's right, Mark, you got it. They're not concerned with running out of money. That's actually way, way, way down the list. Actually, less than 20% of them are worried about running out of money. But what they are concerned with now is just the same thing. They are concerned with losing money. Is there a difference between running out of money and losing money? Running out of money means what? You're broke. You're broke. Losing money means what? It means now I'm going to have to what? If I lose money, it means now I have to what? Guys, if we got the state fair here in Minnesota coming up, okay? So, and everything there is cash. So let's say that I go there, and I go there with $300 for the family, and I misplace my wallet. I give $150 to my wife. I keep $150. I misplace my wallet. $150 is gone. What's that going to do to the state fair? I'm going to have to do what? Change how I go through the state fair. Yeah, you're all getting it. So if I lose money, it means it's not that I lose money. It's the fact that what losing money does, it requires me to change my peace of mind and to change my lifestyle. So the number one concern of people with money is having to change their current lifestyle and losing their peace of mind. Now, when advisors, so Capgemini asked advisors what they thought the number one concern of high net worth individuals were. Guess what they said it was? Phil's got it. Dave's got it. Making money. Growth. Growth, right, Mike? Growth, growth, growth. So how closely does the advisors thought of what clients want and what clients really want? How closely are they parallel, or are they completely the opposite? They're 180 degrees opposite. So guys, when I'm preaching 50, 50, 50, 50, am I totally bonkers? Am I totally selfish because I want you to write FIAs so I make money? Yes, I make money when you write FIAs. But is it the right thing to do or not based on what these people are concerned with? When the market goes up, you make 100% of their money makes money. When the market goes down, at least 50% is fine. So we got to quit chasing return. The number two concern was cost of health care. Now, why are the wealthy concerned with health care costs? I tell you what, I spend a lot more money than the average person on health care. Why? Am I doing the minimum or am I doing the maximum? Preventive, exactly. I'm doing the maximum. And most people with money are doing that, and you'll see that in a second. The Journal of American Medical Association found that women in the top 10% live 10 years longer than the women in the bottom 10%. Men in the top 10% of income and assets lived 15 years longer than men in the bottom 10% of income and assets. So healthcare and longevity is so important. Here's why it's so important to the wealthy as well as for the poor. But here's why it's important to the wealthy. Those with $1 million or $2 million are willing to give up how much of their wealth for an extra 10 years of healthy life? Guys, that's the ticket. That's why they're doing preventative medicine. That's why they're getting new knees, new hips. That's why they're paying for trainers. They're buying all sorts of supplements and all that kind of stuff. What percentage do you think how much of their wealth would they give up for an extra 10 years of healthy life? Got 50%, got 100%, half, 1/3. They'd give up 1/3 of their income for an. So do you see why healthcare is important to all of them? I mean, they're spending money on healthcare. They're spending money on healthcare. So with 5Q's elevator speech and our healthcare, wealth, and income seminar, what are the two things that we talk about? A program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at your death. Does that reflect or address the first part of what the number one concern? So I got one. I want everybody to say this. Does that address their number one concern of security and not moving backwards in lifestyle and peace of mind? Come on, guys. I only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Everybody say it. Yep. Okay, good. And number two is a program to cover 2 years of long-term care costs without paying a cent in annual premiums. Does that address their number two concern? So do you see why that seminar works so well? Also, does that seminar talk at all about money, about their investments, about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds? Does it? No. Why is that so important? Because if it talks about money, anybody that is happy with their advisor, anybody that is and should everybody be happy with their advisor over the last 10 years? Yeah, even idiots could have made money in the last 10 years. So if they think you want to get at their money, guess what they're not going to do? Make an appointment. If they think you're going to help you with these two things, then guess what they'll do? They'll make an appointment. Make sense? Their number three top concern was, again, this is the $500,000 and above, was they tie for taxes and fees. So what else do they want? They want face-to-face and phone call meetings. So guys, you got to have some sort of methodology to reach out to these people. So here's what I did. I actually had my clientele down to 1 half-hour meeting, one-on-one per year, just a half-hour meeting. And they got used to that half hour and they were happy with it. But then I did a 2 group meetings with a barbecue in the summer and a Christmas lights tour in the winter. So that means I saw them 3 times a year, but I was able to see them how? Now, some clients, when things were going on, I saw them more often because they had a death or they were one of their spouses was becoming incapacitated or whatever. But for regular meetings, I saw them 3 times a year. The great thing about the barbecue and the Christmas lights tour was what? I saw them all at one time. So how time efficient was that? Very time efficient. So really and they loved it. And what did we do at those the barbecues and the Christmas light tour? We took pictures of all of them, and then we sent them those pictures to remind them of how fun it was. Make sense? You gotta be meeting, and also, what did they find out? And this is from several, I know 3 different studies for sure. The high net worth people, they want 12 plus contacts a year, but there's a certain type of contact they want. Guess what that contact is? See if anybody can get this. They want 12 plus contacts a year. High net worth people want 12 plus contacts a year. What kind of contacts do they want? Non-financial contacts. Non-financial that's right, Dave. Social contacts. I'm sorry, Atan. That's right. Social contacts. They want to know that you're their friend. Why is it more important to know that you're their friend than you're their advisor? Why is it more important? That's right, Ben. Why is it more important to know that you're their friend versus their advisor? Advisors can do what? Yes, friends are less likely to cheat them, Mark. That's exactly right. Friends won't cheat friends. Will advisors cheat clients? Will genius advisors, you know what? The way they look at it, if you're a genius, is there a higher likelihood or a lower likelihood that you'll screw them? So that's why they want these contacts. And again, they want non-financial communication. Relationships matter. 52% say relationships matter most. 38% say quality of the communication. 26% say products should be clear and transparent. 25% say low fees. 17% want more choice. What's at the top of this list? The thing that most advisors spend a lot of time on, or the thing, or is the bottom thing the thing that most advisors spend a lot of time on? The top 3 or the bottom 3? The most advisors spend all their time looking for products, looking for, they're product driven. They don't spend time creating relationships and having high quality communication. Do you see why it's so important to do the epidemic marketing? It's so important to send out those handwritten notes with birthday cards and client anniversaries of welcome, thanks for being a client for the last 3 years. I really appreciate it. Do you see why those things are so important? You got to be working on those relationships and having better communication. When they're looking for a new advisor, what do you think the number 1 attribute they look for when they're choosing a new advisor? This should be self-apparent. Nobody? Liliana's got it. Trust. They want trust. Remember I talk about, if I'm looking for a mechanic, one's on the left-hand side of the road and one's on the right-hand side of the road, am I looking for which mechanic is better? Am I really trying to figure out which, that's right, Bonnie, which a mechanic is better? Is that what I'm trying to do? That's right, Ben. Which one do I trust? Which one do I trust? I know both of them can fix my cars. They're mechanics. If they couldn't fix my car, they would have been out of business a long time ago. They both can fix my car. I just want to know which one is going to treat me fairly. Which one can I trust? Do you really think the public thinks one advisor is smarter than another? Do they really think one advisor is smarter than another? No. They knew if you were really that smart, where would you be working? From your yacht in the Bahamas. They don't think you're any smarter than the current advisor. They don't think you're any have a better investment than we all sell the same things. They know that. So what they're really looking for is, can I trust you more than I can trust my current advisor? And what's the whole 5Q system about? What's the whole 5Q? Trust. That's right. It's all about trust. Do you see why it works? Because it's the number 1 thing people are looking at. So do we ever tell them they should trust us? Do we ever tell them they should trust us with the 5Q system? Very good. You guys are geniuses. No, we never do. All we do is have them realize that they can't trust their current relationship. Now, they end up trusting us. Why do they end up trusting us if we never even give them a reason to trust us? Because we pulled the wizard back. Wizard back. We pulled the curtain back on the wizard. We've shown them all 21 things that the other guy was doing wrong. Do they really think? I mean, if I'm a magician and I show you the trick to cutting the lady in half, am I going to go the next day and then try to trick you with cutting the lady in half the next day, or do you already know that trick? So they know that of those 21 things, we've already had them realize those 21 things. So at least those 21 things, we're not going to try to do to them. So we win by forfeiture of the other guy. Does that make sense? So I just want you to understand, the reason the 5Q system works is because it's how people, it caters to how people think. Their number one concern is security. Their second concern is healthcare. Do we address those two things? Yes. They're looking for trust. Do we address that? Yes. That's why these things work. It's why I know it's hard work to learn the 5Q system, but it's worth the hard work. The science is behind it. Okay. CERULLI and Associates found that investors with 500,000 up have an average of 4.2 advisors. What do you think about that? Surprising or not surprising? The investors with 500,000 up, and they looked at 1,132 people who had 500,000 or more. That's a lot of people. Investors with 500,000 up rate the satisfaction with their advisor averages only 62%. Guys, if you're good, if their average is only 62% of satisfaction, do you get why the 21-point checklist works even if you don't do it right half the time? Investors with 5,000 up have an aversion to terminating relationships. What is this telling us, guys? This is why you need to use the scripts, because this is where they don't want. Why don't people want to terminate relationships? Because you have to tell somebody you don't like them. It's conflict. It's confrontation. Do people like confrontation? No. The only way you're going to deal with confrontation is when you're what? Angry. And you're angry because they've disrespected you. Investors with $500,000 and up, 25% of these households give 90% of their money to the first advisor, and they split the other remaining 10%. That's why all these other FMOs, there's some very successful FMOs with guys writing a ton of money. The unfortunate thing is, how are they writing tons of money? How many seminars are they doing per month? They're doing 3 or 4 a month. So anything that they're making goes right back out to marketing. The reason being is because why? They're getting small tickets, right, Dave? They get small tickets, and guess what they're getting? They're getting this 10%. They're getting a piece of this 10%. The beauty of the 5Q system is you get it all. They move all the money to you. Recent relationships with now this is guys wonder, why would they even make an appointment with me? Why would they even make an appointment with me unless they wanted my help? Unless they wanted me to point out the things they were doing wrong? Guys, read this. Recent relationships with financial advisors have come from a short-term desire to validate or compare current providers. So, Jeff, what does that mean? A short-term desire to validate or compare current providers.
Oh, they're just curious to shop, to see how they're doing. They're not really
looking. What does validate mean?
They want to be told
what?
They're right. They're doing well.
So when you jump in there as an advisor, Jeff, and start pointing out all the things that they're doing wrong, and with the tell, sell, preach, and teach approach, what if they're in there thinking that you're going to give them pats on the back? What's going to happen to that meeting in short shrift?
Yeah, they're going to get defensive and upset.
So guys, this is why, don't go in there believing that they want your help. They want you to tell them what they're doing is terrific. And sure, maybe there's one or tiny little thing they can do, but everything else they're doing is terrific. And think about this. Another way 5Q leverages this. How does our intro begin with the 21-point checklist script? What do we tell them? What do we tell them? You've done all the heavy lifting. If you hadn't put all of these things in place with the great assets, the great income, I wouldn't be able to help you at all. So you've done all the heavy lifting. You're fantastic. You're doing a perfect job right now. The things that I'll find, they're small, they're easy to fix. So what am I we begin our 21-point checklist with the very thing that they're looking for. Yes or no? Yes or no? If you do the intro right, do you see that? Do you see that? How much thought we put into the 5Q system? The best leverage is 60% of these investors can't fully grasp the fees they're paying. 60% of investors can't grasp the fees they're paying. Okay, so Do we spend time on fees? Yeah. Do we have a different fee? Do we have a different fee script for REITs and a different one for mutual funds and a different one for money managers and a different one for? Why do we spend so much time and have 4 or 5 different fee? And then do we have them understand that turnover is also a fee? So do you get why we do that? People don't. How many people understood the cost to turnover when you've done them? Has anybody ever said, "Oh yeah, I knew it was costing me that much as turnover"? Has anybody ever told you that? Jeff, in 18 years, have we ever have a tape of some client saying, "Oh yeah, I knew that was costing that much"?
No, nobody ever knows.
Nobody ever knows. Make sense? So do you see why we do the thing? I know that you're like, God, this is so much stuff. It's so much. Why do we have to make it so complicated? Guys, it's not complicated. It's simple. It's a process to get them to realize that that all of these things, it's to leverage all these things, and it's a process to get them to realize that they don't trust their guy for all these reasons. So how wealthy people invest. This is a totally separate article, but validating the same things. How wealthy people invest. Wealthy people understand the 3 level, or basically hindsight bias. They understand hindsight bias. Hindsight bias is research shows that we selectively call information that confirms what we know to be true, and we try to create a narrative that makes sense out of the information we have. When this narrative is easy to generate, we interpret what to mean the outcome must have been foreseeable. So guys, when in politics, how often do we see this in politics, where 2 people will look at the exact same information and they'll come to 2 totally polar opposite conclusions based on that information? Yeah, daily. And what this is saying is that we look for what happened and then we make all the facts fit what we thought was going to happen in the first place. So an example of that is, if I take a wild 3-pointer, and you probably say, if any of you guys play basketball, if you see a guy take a wild 3-pointer, he lands a couple of those, what does he do? If he lands a couple of those wild 3-pointers, what does he do for the rest of the game? Yeah, it takes more. And Tom, good shots or bad shots? He gets this attitude of, holy crap, I've become a star. And then he starts taking what? Crazy shots from half court. So the thing is, guess what everybody's doing right now? I or my advisor really have a beat on this whole investment thing. How many people think that right now? How many people think they really got a beat on this whole investment thing right now? Now, why are they thinking that? Why are they thinking that? Why do they think they're a genius? Yes, that's why they think they're a genius. Is anybody that made money over the last 10 years a genius? Or were they just in the right place at the right time? Right place, right time. Wealthy people get that. Wealthy people get rid of the hindsight bias. Here's how wealthy people look at investing. They realize that on this not timeline, but on this skill line, chess takes tons of skill. You can't be lucky in chess. If you do not have skills in chess, you're going to lose. Roulette has nothing to do with skill. There's no way you can throw or have that ball land anywhere on the roulette wheel by skill. It's pure luck. I don't even know why they have slot machines. Apparently, there's a little bit of skill with slot machines. I don't know what they would be. Hockey, some luck, some skill. Football, some luck, some skill. Baseball, soccer, basketball. Thing is, guys, Legg Mason's Michael Mauboussin uses this image to show the relative role of luck and skill in various activities. Is Legg Mason a money manager? Do they like stocks, and do they like active management? Come on, guys, don't you know who Legg Mason is? Yeah, they love active management. And yet, even so, where do they put stock market picking? Skill or luck? More skill, more luck. Right place, right time. Remember Peter Lynch? Was Peter Lynch a stock market genius? No, he wasn't. He was not. He was all in retail stocks in the 1990s. He was all in retail stocks in the 1990s, and guess what kind of stocks made the most money in the 1990s? Retail stocks. Where was Peter Lynch, the genius, when the market crashed in 2000? On vacation in Ireland. If he was truly a genius, would he have been on vacation in Ireland? No. And how did Magellan do after the 2000 crash? Terrible. So he's not a genius. He was at the right place at the right time. See, it's a balanced portfolio. Not having a balanced portfolio increases risk. Having a balanced portfolio reduces risk. I think this is a great graphic, even though it's kind of not a great contrast there. But wealthy people invest in financial markets by allowing those markets to act on their own accord, then using a balanced risk-adjusted portfolio to capture gains when they happen. What does that sound like? Rather than attempting to predict them in advance, they use a balanced risk-adjusted portfolio to capture gains when they happen. Geez, do we have a tool that captures gains when they happen? Yeah, exactly, the FIA. Who said performance comes, performance goes? Think about this. Using a balanced risk-adjusted portfolio to capture gains when they happen, rather than attempting to predict them in advance. We go right back to what Warren Buffett said. Performance comes, performance goes, fees never stop. If you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't own it for 10 minutes. The know-nothing investor that who both diversifies and keeps their costs minimal is virtually certain to get satisfactory results. We've long felt that the only value of a stock forecaster is to make fortune tellers look good. It's a terrible mistake for investors to measure investment risk by the portfolio's risk of ratio to bonds, stocks to bonds. Often high-grade bonds increase. High-grade, not junk bonds. High-grade bonds increase portfolio risk. So what is the science say according to Ibbotson? Not what's the best place. Not what's the best place to give up some of your return to get some safety. In fact, what's his point? You're giving up return to get safety, or is Ibbotson saying the highest rate of return is actually going to be here with a balanced portfolio? With large cap stocks, yeah, you get a higher rate of return. You're going to get a higher rate of return over time. But what are your clients going to live through during that time period? Would any of you put all your clients' monies into 100% into stocks? Only Fisher Investments would do that. Okay? So do you get why we have the 50-50? Is there lots of reasons that the 50-50 makes sense? So when you've mastered crib notes and motive, your daily practice of MIFT and GOTS, 5-minute money makers and breakdowns, that's when you can bring in every client. So what should you be doing in August? We're now in August. September and October is when our awesome marketing months. So you should be thinking about, how am I going to be marketing? You should start to be thinking now, what am I going to be doing for marketing? Am I going to be doing the eye to eye? Am I going to be doing the healthcare, wealth, and income, or some other marketing? What am I going to be doing? And in the meantime, what should you be doing during the month of August? And guys, if you buy your marketing in September, when's your first marketing going to come out? In October. So if you want both September and October, which are the two great months for the rest of the year, September and October are two fantastic months. When do you got to pull the trigger to make sure you can get something done in both September and October? That's right, Kevin. Now, if you wait until September, you've just screwed yourself, because you're not going to write a ton of business in November and December. So September and October, if you want to make money the second half of this year, you should be turning on your marketing now, so you can actually start doing it in September, and then have another one in October. Okay, and then in between, August should be spent. I know that, like I said before, there are more people that know the 21-point checklist than have ever known the 21-point checklist in the last 18 years. But summer is a downtime, so all the football players came back to camp, and what are they doing right now? Because they've had some time off, just like we've had the summer off, or we haven't seen as many people as possible. They're getting that practice in. They're redoing those skills. So use August to go back, put these things in your calendar, the scripts in your calendar, get sharp on them again so you can roll it out in August. Make sense? I'm sorry, roll it out in September. Make sense? So thanks for being on the call today. Hopefully you gathered some information that'd be helpful, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.